Alright guys, so finally we're going to go over this. This is the last thing we're going to cover before the exam, which should happen on next week when I come back. So this should be the last new thing that we're going to learn. Now on this one we're actually going to write the equation of a quadratic function. Now this doesn't actually have the formula, but if you have something that they give you the roots, remember this is actually what's given to you earlier. You have the root formula of a quadratic is a x minus r1. R1 represents a root. X minus r2, which just represents another root. Alright, where a is the either stretch if this is over 1 or the shrink if it's less than 1. Alright, so if they give you something, it says write the equation of the quadratic function with roots, keyword, roots 4 and negative 1. Alright, so what that means is we're actually going to do this backwards. Alright, normally we start somewhere right here and then we break all this down. We're going to go backwards. So the first thing we have to do is we're going to write y is equal to a because we don't know the vertical stretch. We're going to find that out. Right, then we have x. I'm going to remember this is going to be the opposite. If you remember, the roots are going to be the opposite. So instead of writing 4, I'm going to write a negative 4. And this one's going to be x plus 1. Again, notice that I am taking the opposite of those two numbers. So on this right here, that's what we have. So to figure out what this vertical stretch or vertical or shrink, vertical stretch or shrink, we don't know what it is that what we're going to do here is we're going to plug in 0.08. So again, when you see something like that, don't freak out. This is just a coordinate 0.08. Alright, so we're going to plug in x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 8 into this equation. Okay, so we're going to plug in 8 is equal to a 0 minus 4, 0 plus 1, and then we're basically going to solve for a. Okay, so in this case we're going to have 8 is equal to a times negative 4 times 1. Now that's going to give us, again, if I'm writing too fast, just make sure you ask somebody to pause it or go back on your own and watch this. Alright, so we have 8 is equal to negative 4a. Now all I have done so far is that yes, a times negative 4 is the same thing as negative 4 times a. So I haven't done anything crazy here. I'm going to divide by negative 4. So that means that a is equal to negative 2. So that's not the whole answer, though. You actually have to rewrite the equation. So now we know that this is equal to negative 2, and that's going to go right here. Okay? So my answer is y is equal to negative 2, x minus 4, x plus 1. And that's my answer. Now, a good way to check this is to put this in your calculator. And when you put this in your calculator, you should have that point. When you look at the table, you should have that point. Okay? So let's go to equation number 2 here. Now, it says write the equation of a quadratic function with a double root at 4. Now, let's write this, right? So if you have a double root at 4, that means that you actually have basically this. You have y is equal to a, x minus 4. Remember, this is a positive form. I'm going to take the opposite of that. Minus 4, x minus 4. You're just going to write that twice. If it's telling you a double root, well, that's what you're going to write right there. So what you're going to do now is you're going to plug in, and I'm only going to write it one more time. Plug in this case, that's the same thing as negative 1, 5. So I'm going to plug in x is equal to negative 1 and y is equal to 5 into this. Okay, so we have that this is equal to, let's see, y is equal to 5 is equal to x is negative 1, so we have negative 1 minus 4, negative 1 minus 4, so this is going to give me 5 a negative 5 times negative 5, that's going to be positive 25a is equal to 5. Alright, so all of this shouldn't be a huge deal for you. This is just very simple algebra. We're going to divide both sides by 25. That is going to give me, let's see, that's going to give me 1 over 5. So A is equal to 1 over 5. So my equation is y is equal to 1/5 times x minus 4 times x minus 4. Or you can write this as y is equal to 1/5 x minus 4 squared, because you have two of these. See, if you multiply that times that, you get that squared. So either one will work. Alright, now eventually they're going to give you in your homework, they're going to give you a picture. They're going to ask you to do the same thing. Now on this one, I can see that the roots are located right there and right there. Alright, so my roots are actually x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So 1 and 3. Okay, so same thing I just did over there. I just have to look at a picture. So we have y is equal to a x minus 1 x minus 3. Now remember that this means x is equal to 0, y is equal to negative 12. So I'm going to plug that in. So negative 12 is equal to a, let's see, x is 0 minus 1, x is 0 minus 3 here. That's going to give us negative 12 is equal to, let's see, negative 1 times negative 3. Okay, so that's going to give me negative 12 is equal to 3a. And I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I have negative 4 is equal to a. Alright, so my final answer therefore is going to be y is equal to negative 4 x minus 1 x minus 3. Now just to make sure that this makes sense, this is a negative, which means it's reflected. This graph is being reflected. Alright, and it says being stretched by a factor of 4. So if you go from the vertex, you're supposed to go to the right 1. Remember, the point would be 1, 4. 1, negative 4. So to the right 1, down 4. So it looks like I did it correctly. Okay, again, if I'm going too fast, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and watch this all over again. Okay, without even writing notes. Sometimes you get it better just by listening. So let's go to the back now. The other one that we have here is if they give you something in vertex form. Right, so if they give you something in vertex form, and the vertex form formula of a quadratic is y is equal to a x minus h squared plus k, where h and k are your vertex, or is the vertex. Alright, so h and k is your vertex. So whatever number is here and here, that's going to be your vertex. Alright, so remember that this one's going to be the opposite. So on this one right here, they're telling us the vertex is a 3, 1. So vertex formula, I'm going to plug in x minus 3, remember, because that's going to be the opposite of that number, square plus 1. Now on this one, this and that have to have the same sign, so do not change this. Alright, this, again, this and that 1 right there have to have the same sign. Only that 3, only this 3 is going to be different. Because remember, x is a liar, right? So my vertex was 3, 1. We're just doing this backwards. So now what we're going to do, just like on that last one, is we're going to plug in this point that we have here, negative 4, 13. Alright, so that, remember, this little symbol right here, that means that x is negative 4, and when x is negative 4, y will be negative 13. Sorry, good thing I saw that. Okay, so let's plug that in. So we have the, again, we're going to plug in 13, sorry, negative 13 for y. So we have negative 13 is equal to a, oh, yes. Then instead of x, I'm going to plug in a negative 4. So we have negative 4 minus 3 square plus 1. Alright, and we're going to go through all of this. So we have negative 13 is equal to a. Negative 4. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. And then when we square that, well, when we square that, it's going to give us 49. Okay, so this is going to be 49 when you square that 7. So negative 13 is equal to 49a plus 1. Alright, so now we have kind of a simple linear equation here we're going to solve. So we're going to subtract the 1 from each side. That's going to give us negative 14 is equal to 49a. Alright, be careful again, that's a 49a. My 9's and my a's tend to look kind of the same. So divide by 49 on both sides. Now, when you reduce this, okay, and again, you can do the reducing on your calculator. That's going to give you negative 2 over 7. That's equal to a. So my final answer is going to be y is equal to negative 2 over 7, x minus 3 squared plus 1. Okay? So that is your answer right there. Alright, let's do one more. Now, if you get it, you can go ahead and do your homework. I don't care. But if this is kind of hazy for you, let's go to the next one. Alright, and if after I do all this, you're still not quite sure what happened, after you write your notes, watch the video again. It will help you. It's only about probably 15 minutes, hopefully by the time I finish. So, on this one is the same thing. Notice that the key word is that they give you the vertex. So I know that I have to use the vertex formula. So we have y is equal to a, x minus 3, excuse me, I'm on the wrong one, x plus 1. Again, I'm taking the opposite of this number, so x plus 1 square, and I'm going to take exactly the same number as this, don't forget, minus 6. So that number that is different is this x coordinate. Okay, so now we're going to plug in again, we're going to plug in this number, which represents, remember this number is the same thing as saying 5 and 6. So I'm going to plug in 6 for y, so I'm going to write 6 is equal to a, and instead of x, I'm going to plug in a 5. So we have 5 plus 1 squared minus 6. It's going to be 6 is equal to a. It's going to be 6 squared minus 6. So that's going to be equal to 6 is equal to 36a minus 6. Okay, so again, that 36 came from me squaring 6. 6 squared is 36. So we're down to a linear equation again. Add 6. That's 12. It's equal to 36a. Divide this by 36. So let's see, if we reduce 12 over 36, we give 1/3 is equal to a. Okay, so my answer therefore is going to be, remember it's going to be this equation right here, but instead of a, I'm going to write 1/3. So we have 1/3 x plus 1 squared minus 6. Now, on your homework, they're not really going to tell you, okay, use the vertex form or use the root form. Sometimes you can use both and you'll get the same answer. All right. However, on this one, because we're looking at it in terms of a vertex, and they tell you right here the minimum, which this is actually the vertex, right? The minimum of this is a vertex, is -2, -2. So if you can see the vertex, you can use the vertex formula. So again, one more time, we have, let's see, y is equal to, remember this point right here is 0, 1. This is not the vertex, that's just the point they give you to find out the vertical stretch or shrink. Alright, so in this case we have y is equal to a, x plus 2 squared minus 2. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and do the, let's see what we got here. Okay, we're going to plug in 1 for y, and we're going to plug in 0 for x. So we have 0 plus 2 square minus 2. So if you notice, this right here is going to be 2 plus 0, which is 2. 2 squared is 4, so we're going to have 4a minus 2. Now we can solve for that. So add the 2. So we have 3 is equal to 4a. We're going to divide by 4. So that's our, in this case, that's going to be our vertical shrink. So y is equal to 3/4 x plus 2 squared minus 2. And this is going to be your answer. Now, guys, I understand that this homework is probably going to be the one that's going to take you the most time. Now, try to do your best, okay, because we will have a test next week when I come back. So try to do your best and ask me if you got questions. Try to do the homework, and if you have questions, I'll be back next week and I'll answer your questions. Or remember that you can always reach me at Mr. Ochoa Algebra 2 on my Twitter account. All right, we'll see you guys next week.